I'm intrigued by a Greek word called kenosis. Kenosis simply means self-emptying, renouncing, and saying no to power, possessions, and glory, fame. Say no. That is kenosis. Actually, the term kenosis comes from the Greek word for the doctrine of church's self-emptying in Christ incarnation. The kenosis was a self-renunciation, self-emptying in exchange of deity, glory, godliness for humanity. According to St. Paul in Philippians chapter 2:7, St. Paul tells us that Jesus emptied himself, taking the form of a slave and being made in the likeness of man. He traded divinity to humanity. Jesus did not cease to be God, don't misunderstand him, during his earthly ministry, but he did set aside his heavenly glory of a face-to-face relationship with God. He also set aside his independent authority. During his earthly ministry, Christ completely submitted himself to the will of the Father. There is no doubt about it. As part of the kenosis, Jesus sometimes operated with the limitations of humanity. God does not get tired or thirsty sometimes. Actually, it seems that while Jesus was on earth, he surrendered the use of some of his divine attributes. Jesus was still perfectly holy, just, merciful, gracious, righteous, and loving. But to varying degrees, Jesus was not omniscient or omnipotent. He didn't operate it. He could have escaped from the Jews, but he didn't do that. He could have escaped from the passion, death. He didn't do that. And he submitted himself to the laws of biology and physics. However, when it comes to the kenosis, we often focus too much on what Jesus gave up. The kenosis also deals with what Christ took on. Jesus added to himself a human nature and humbled himself. Jesus went from being the glory of glories in heaven to being a human being who was put to death on the cross. Philippians chapter 2:7-8 declares, taking the very nature of a slave, being made in human likeness, and being found in appearance as a man, he humbled himself and became obedient to death, even death on a cross. In the ultimate act of humility, the God of the universe became a human being and died for his creation. The kenosis, therefore, is Christ taking on a human nature with all of its limitations, except with no sin. He didn't take sin. Rather, He crushed the sin and He liberated humanity from the bondage of sin. That is Kenosis, the Greek word. Kenosis simply means self-empty. So there's a lesson for us. We should also self-empty of our ego, our arrogance, our greed, and a lot of things you can get liberated from. So one thing is, we are addicted to tradition, we are addicted to power and authority and domination, and we can get liberated from it. Kenosis, empty that. And also possessions. Today, so much of consumption. Come on, get rid of it, kenosis. So the biblical word kenosis comes very, very strongly and meaningfully in today's context. We can employ that word and find meaning, and probably give some meaning by adopting into our own lifestyle. And let us give life to the word kenosis, and also let us relive Christ's imagination of kenosis. Bye.